Hello and welcome to All In, the Addicted Gamblers podcast. I am as always, your effervescent host, Chris. Brian is here somewhere. He's not here with us at the exact moment. And we have a special celebrity guest today. Her name's Jill. Say hi, Jill.
Hey, guys. Hi.
Jill has had issues with gambling in the past. Is that not correct?
That's correct. In the past and present. Suppose you could say in the past and present.
Oh, yeah. I guess that would make sense.
But I'm 27-year-old female, and I've been gambling for about 2.5 years. But not really heavily gambling for about 1.5 years. I've been gambling heavily. And I started going to GA meetings at the beginning of this year. And then I stopped, and I just went to the casino 2 days ago. 2 days ago? Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it's a problem, and this is not my only addiction. I have, I guess you could say it's like a cross addiction, but my other addictions I've sort of gotten a hold of. They're no longer an issue in my life. Then
do you think you would classify yourself as someone that has an addictive personality?
Oh, absolutely. Yes. Okay.
And so you had other addictions that you've gotten under control.
Yep.
Is this transference then?
Probably, yeah. There's the thing called cross addiction, and I would say that, I guess when I was 19, I went to rehab for drugs and stopped doing drugs a couple years after that. But when I got out of rehab, I started drinking and doing drugs, different drugs, and drinking a lot of alcohol. And I stopped all that. I've been completely sober and off of drugs for almost 6 years now. I guess my sobriety date is November 10th, 2009.
Ooh, congratulations.
Thank you, yeah. And I quit smoking cigarettes a couple months ago. I quit for 2 years in between when I quit doing drugs, and then I started smoking again once I graduated college with my career. My job's very stressful, so it was my outlet. And I worked nights. I did the graveyard shift for a long time, so.
So then you're basically, I take it cross addiction is like you're transferring your addiction from one thing to another.
Right. Yeah.
You can sort of effectively get over one, but you move on to something else, and that sort of supplants it. And
exactly.
So what we need to do is we need to get you into like knitting.
Yes, so it's funny, I during group therapy sessions when I was in my inpatient rehab, I did knit, and I got a couple of the crackheads to knit with me. They made some interesting scarves, holes everywhere, but it was something to keep your hands busy. It was good.
Literal crackheads?
Yeah, literal crackheads.
I feel like, is that one of the drugs that you just really want to tinker and do stuff, take things apart, put them back together?
I never smoked crack personally. I don't know.
I probably shouldn't laugh about this, but... All right, so, ladies and gentlemen...
Yeah, you're the host of an addicted podcast.
I know. Guess who's joined us? I was just going to bring that up, and he's here.
Hi.
Hi, Brian.
Hi, Brian.
Hi.
We have great news. Brian Hatch has reached 1 year.
Yay!
Oh, we're dropping last names now, huh?
Shit. It's on the website.
It's on the website.
Yeah, I know. It's everywhere.
Brian, my esteemed co-host, the reason and inspiration for our little internet chitter-chatter, has reached 1 year of being gambling free.
It's true. Hooray.
Very proud.
This is, I think, my third or fourth time I've been at 1 year.
Well, let's pretend it's your third time so that I can say third time's a charm.
Okay. It's my third time.
All right.
I assume you got a quick background on our guest?
Jill was just describing her a brief history of her addictions and how long she's been gambling. And so you said at the beginning of this year.
Yeah, when I started going to GA meetings.
Yep. You started going to GA meetings. What was the impetus for that? Did you recognize in yourself that you were having an issue and that this might help, or did someone tell you? Because you said you've been in and out of various addictions. Yeah. I don't know, maybe by this point you're recognizing the behavior, or you recognize yourself when you need to stop something?
Yes, but I also did something pretty shitty. Can I say shit on here?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
It's
my
like fucking goat on this show.
Okay, my gambling led me to, or my addiction led me to do something pretty shitty, and I felt terrible about it, and I decided, oh my gosh, look at where this is taking me. Let me get a handle on this. Probably it's a problem.
Assuming because you didn't go into any more specifics, you don't want to go into that particulars.
I will. It's just
it's up to you. It's up to you. I mean,
that's fine. Everything.
You had a bump in the road, so you decided to go to.
I took some money that it was a check in my name, so it really wasn't stealing. But my boyfriend and I had traveled up to. We'd traveled to go visit some family for Christmas, and my grandfather's trust reimbursed us for those plane tickets, and he had put the plane tickets on his credit card, and instead of giving him the money back, I said we couldn't get the money back, and I took that money and I spent it gambling. Well, I wasn't intending to spend it. I was just, I'll just take 500 of this, and then I'll double my money, and then I'll go home and I'll give the money back. And I'll write the check. But then I lost that 500. So I took 500 more, and then I spent the last 500 too. So, it didn't work out the way I wasn't going to leave. I should have known better. Somebody
Sure.
like me, I never leave with money, so.
That seems to be a common theme. Now that we're doing this a little more often and I'm meeting more people like yourselves, is that like common amongst addicted gamblers? Is that you feel like you go into a casino, you feel like you can go in and walk out with more money than what you went in for?
Oh, yeah.
Is that, you always...
Well, I'll say initially, because now I know. Like, I'm going, and I'm literally just going because it's like this monkey on my back, and I just want to go, and I can't stop thinking about it, and I'd love to go. And so I'm going to go, and I figure I'm going to lose my money, and I'm going to leave. Still sucks when I lose my money, and I still struggle to walk out of there, but I kind of already know at this point I'm not going to make my money back now. I know I'm probably going to lose it. Because I'd say a normal person that goes to a casino, it's a 50-50 shot if you walk away with money, because you can walk away. But somebody like me, I can't walk away. I'm literally gambling just because I love what it does for me. It just numbs me out. I just don't think when I'm doing it. I could play blackjack for 20 hours straight if I had the means. But I'm still up and down and back and forth and back and forth. I will literally stay inside a casino for 24 hours straight. I won't eat. I won't drink any water. I won't sleep. I won't drink any, I don't drink. I'm sober. So I literally just smoke cigarettes, but I don't even smoke anymore. Now I go and I don't even smoke, although I did have one the last time I went.
Oh, I had a question, but I forgot it.
I love to play blackjack. I like what you said, one of your podcasts said, oh, you blackjacked, which I thought was funny.
Oh, I remember. So, okay. All right, Brian, what about you? You have mentioned on more than one occasion that you always feel like going into a casino, you're going to walk out with more money, or you go in with this idea like, oh, I'm not supposed to spend this money, but I'll go in and double it and leave. Did you ever reach that point?
Every time.
Did you ever every time? But did you ever reach that point where logically in your head you're like, you know what, I'm going to just fucking lose all my money, but I'm going to go do it anyway.
After every trip. Yeah, after every trip, and you're thinking, I never want to do this again. You're thinking like, oh, because I know I'm just going to lose. Now that it's been a year, I mean, I still know I'm going to lose, but I would still have that same feeling walking in, like, well, I'm gonna win.
Gotcha.
Because the whole car ride down is you thinking about how you're gonna win. Yeah,
it's one time different. Out of 100 and whatever, maybe.
Yeah, and you know what? A lot of it, Chris, is that you win while you're there.
A lot, but you just can't leave up.
Yeah,
that's the problem.
You're like, now I have more money.
I mean, I won. I was just there, and I won at one point. I dropped down $1,000, but then I was up $1.5 grand. But then I lost it all because you just can't walk away. You just keep playing. So it's not a matter of I win pretty much every time I go, but then I lose too. So if I could just leave while I'm up, I'd be fine. Like there are times, even when I'm $1 grand ahead of what I came in with, and I can't walk out, or a couple grand. I've been up $5 grand and I couldn't walk out, and I left.
Yeah. And if if you're only at $50, then you're like, well, I still have $50
What the fuck is
plus.
What are you gonna do with $50?
Yeah, exactly. Plus all the money I came in with. Like, I'm up 50, but that means I still have my $500 I walked in the door with, so I might as well gamble.
I'm planning on losing at least $250. So if I'm up 50, I've got to gamble some more.
I got plenty to gamble with, and I don't. What am I gonna do with $50?
$50. The fuck. Granted, in the real world, you're like, that's a tank of gas.
Oh yeah.
So $50, it's but when you're in the casino, money is not money.
Used to be a tank of gas.
Money is chips and tickets. You don't look at it like, no, it's $100 bills are not $100 bills when you're in the casino. They're just a means to I don't know.
It's just something that's 5 times easier than putting in 520s.
Exactly. Thank you. Yeah, exactly.
It's quicker.
Jesus
you know what's even faster?
Christ, I feel like
putting in $300 to $400 in a slot machine.
I know.
You don't have to go back into your pocket.
But the thing is, too, I think if you put in $200 or $300 versus $20, the machine's gonna pop. It's more likely to pop than if you were just put $20 in. You know, because
statistically that may be true, but
it's gonna give you something.
Oh yeah, it's all in the fucked up brain of ours.
God, you're like,
well, if I do this, I had a lady one day, I think I told you this before on here, but I had a lady one day come up and just start rubbing my buttons.
Oh, yeah.
Not on my shirt, but like on the machine. And she's like, press it slowly. I was like, press it slowly? Lady.
Yeah, no, listen. People do weird shit. I watched this one guy, he'll outline his machine with his arms, and like he's waving his arms back and forth every time he hits a bonus, and then he does like a cross, like a Jesus cross, and I'm thinking, I'm not sure you want to bring God into this right now, but you know, I mean, that's good. They make jokes all the time. They say, you know what the difference between praying in a casino and praying in a church is? When you pray in a casino, you really mean it. And like, dealers have all these jokes, you know, they've got like, well, whatever, because you're like throwing thousands of dollars.
I don't miss their jokes.
You know what I don't do? They always ask me for a card. You can get a card. Comp points. Yeah, you can get
sure, like a...
Yeah, so you don't want evidence that you've been there.
I won't use a card. I refuse.
You don't want mailing lists coming your way.
No, it's not that. I've signed up for the card. I have the card, but I've cut it up like 20 times. Like, I'm never going back there, and I'll go back. And they're like, well, just give us your license, ma'am, and we can print you a new card. But now I don't want a card because I'm afraid if you put your card in the machine, it knows. They're like tracking everything that you've lost and made. So it is less likely to hit a bonus for you if you already hit a bonus. Probably not, but I feel it.
Yeah, you have a gambling problem.
She's very fervent and
I mean you
emotional.
You're like the Edward Snowden of slot machines right now. You're like, well, they're tracking us, man. And you know what? They're gonna know if we won or lost, and then I'm not gonna win because they've been like, well, you won.
Yeah, I think that sometimes. I don't know. It's stupid.
Well, they must have regulatory.
I always used to think like the machine will be friendlier if I have a card.
What? They must what, Chris?
They must have regulatory commissions for gambling machines so that...
We talked about this before.
Yeah.
They definitely do.
But we don't know what the specifics are of it.
Yeah.
Well, I'm pretty sure
we would like
the more
to know.
you win, the less you can win is not one of the rules that they program machines for.
I just feel like
Probably
they have like
not.
Big Brother up there watching everything, and they've got like...
I'm not at all discounting that. I mean, we all have cell phones that know exactly where we are at all points in time.
Exactly.
We're being tracked.
Also, that's funny you should say
right?
that, because the last time, because now, my gambling's a pretty big secret, like, one of the reasons I wanted to remain anonymous is nobody really knows about it, you know. So far, I'm to keep myself out of financial debt and ruin. Like, it's still a problem for me financially. I'm still living paycheck to paycheck, I'd say, because of the way
I haven't gambled in
because of the way that I gamble, but my job affords me enough financial income to where I can lose $1,000 in a week and it doesn't set me back completely. So that's nice. Nobody knows.
Don't do it every week.
Oh, I do lately. I've been on a binge. Yeah.
Why?
Things were, you know, when things get rough, it's my outlet. It's how I deal with things. It's my coping mechanism, and it just makes me feel like I leave and I literally feel like, nah. I mean, I've just lost $1,000, but I'm like, nah, fuck it. Fuck the world. Fuck it. I don't care. And I just feel kind of numb for like a good couple days. And then I'm like, maybe I could win it back.
I must say that I think meh is one of my favorite words in the English language.
It's a great, you know.
So, all right, then let me ask you this. You have a little bit of perspective on different addictions.
Sure.
Is this one better, worse or really no different than someone that might be hugely addicted to alcohol or drugs or...
Yeah.
Before you answer, can I just tell you what somebody in my GA class said once about that same question? Just because I don't want to give my answer after you give yours.
Okay, yeah.
Which was the same question, and they always said that the gambling was the hardest for them.
Hardest to break? Or...
Yeah.
Okay, because like, I want whatever you want to say about it, whether it's harder to break, whether it's easier or harder on your life.
Right.
Obviously, the health hazards are different.
Right, absolutely. So here's what I'll say that just like my other addictions, well, and here's the thing. When I was a drug addict and a drunk, I didn't have the same financial means that I have today. I could have never been a gambling addict back then because I just could not have afforded it. I mean, I just could not have afforded it. But now I think about it, and it's funny because I used to think like, man, spending $300 on a bag of weed and like, or on pills or spending that money on whiskey and like what a dent that would make in my savings account. And now I'll drop $1,000. And I used to like, when I got sober, I'd tell myself, and I was just torching it, like literally like burning it. Like it's like burning money. But now it's the same thing. It's just like burning money. And, I don't know where my lack of respect for my finances when that started. I'm not sure. Like I
like to blame my parents.
You like to blame your parents? Yeah, probably not my parents' fault. Definitely not my parents' fault. But I'd say as far as health-wise, this one is a lot less concerning to me because I can still function at work the next day. There's been I've called in sick to work one time because I was up on a shoot and I wasn't going to leave the casino and I knew I wasn't going to make it back home in time to get to my job. So I called out the next day, and I had already been gambling for, let's be real, like 30 hours, and I was back up, so I wasn't going to leave. Yeah, and I hadn't slept, and I really shouldn't have been going in and doing my job at that point, so. But only one time has it kept me from going to work. Where when I used to do drugs and get drunk, I was constantly losing jobs. Well, now, I've held the same. I have 3 jobs right now. Sound like anybody you know?
Yeah, but he was doing that when he was 19 and broke. And
yeah, but my 3 jobs were 95 hours.
Yeah, that's true. No, I'll be working. I just got another job,
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
I get to make
my 3 jobs paid nowhere near. Yeah.
But I think that's what makes it more difficult to break the habit, too, though, because first of all, I have trouble viewing it as an addiction. Like, I really struggle with that whole mindset because there's no physical aspect. So when it comes to my drinking, when it comes to doing drugs, it's really easy for me to see it as an addiction because there's a physical part. There's like a withdrawal aspect to it, and you can understand why your brain chemistry would be different, and it all makes sense. But with gambling, they say, and I've spoken with people in the meetings, and they say, it's a lot like doing cocaine, and it stimulates the same area of your brain, and I love the study that you guys talked about, one of your episodes about the amygdala and, people with an abnormal amygdala maybe have a different response to addiction, which I actually agree with 100%. But
God damn, she does listen to us.
I do. You know what's funny? I used to listen to you guys leaving the casino.
Oh, what a dick. You're supposed to listen to us as you go in, so hopefully...
I did a couple times. Here's the thing, Brian.
There's no stopping it.
Brian explaining his story about going down to the casino. He's like, let's get sexy with it. And he goes into the whole bit about he gets his pack of cigarettes, he drives, got to make that hour drive. That's my routine to like a T, except maybe a few variations. And
sure. Right.
So I would listen to that, and I'd be like, you know what? I'm going to go. That sounds like a great idea.
Yeah, I can see how that doesn't work.
Not exactly the intention, but
doesn't work to deter when it's so sexy.
I know, it is. It's great. I love this. It's so messed up.
I love retelling that. I love thinking that whole thing through.
Yeah. It all starts with a day off. It truly does. You got a day off?
All right, so we're going to stop that right here. And all right, well then let me ask you. I feel like the two of you are just going to riff off each other And you're each going to go to a casino as soon as we're done here because you're just like talking
No,
yourself
I'm not going.
up here. But, all right,
I'm at a year. I'm not going.
You're talking about how you've kept it a relative secret.
Yeah.
Well, what about that specific instance where you said that you cashed that check that was in your name?
Yeah. I was on.
How did you mention how you hid it from your boyfriend? Because
I had lied to him initially, and I told him that we just weren't getting the check. My grandpa's trust wasn't going to be able to. We weren't getting reimbursed for that, and he was like, "Okay." He was that made sense. Okay, because it had been kind of up in the air if we were going to get reimbursed for those tickets, anyways, and we did. But later on, I came clean about it, and I told him probably because I was in a situation where I don't think I would have, even though I felt really guilty and terrible about it, but. We were going on a trip with my parents. We were going on a ski trip, and I just thought, if this comes up in conversation about, oh, yeah, did you get the check? A lot of weird things are going to go down at that dinner table, so I better just let me get this all out in the forefront. That was very uncomfortable. Yeah.
Well, how did he react?
He was pissed. He was pissed.
Did he offer any support, or I don't mean to put I don't want to paint him in any particular light, but do you have anybody that you can turn to? You say you keep it a secret.
Yeah.
Do you not trust any of your friends or family, or?
Okay, that's not true. Two of my friends know about it. They're my best friends, so they know me better than anyone in the world. And one of them, both of them I met in college, and I've known them for 6-7 years. But there's not a whole lot, and they knew me when I was out with my drug and alcohol addictions and before I got sober. And I think that they're of the mindset when I make up my mind to do something, they know that there's really no talking me out of it. So it's kind of like a waste of breath. And also they've seen me pull myself up from, the miserable mess I've created in my life previously. So I think that they just sort of hope ultimately in the back of their head, this will be like that, and eventually everything will go back to normal.
So basically then it just hasn't gotten so bad that no one in your life has noticed.
Right. One time I tried to tell my mom about a year ago, and she got really upset. So I stopped telling her things because I just didn't want to upset her. There's no point to upset her. It's not like, I'm financially independent. I don't have any financial support from anybody. I pay all my bills. I pay my rent. My car's paid off. I pay my car insurance, my health insurance. That I don't take any money from anybody. So it's really nobody could say anything about it. I have no debt. I have no loans. I have no student loans. I had a scholarship the whole way. So, I'm actually going back to school now. I've been back in school for 2 years and I've been paying my own tuition. And but I'm living paycheck to paycheck. And the problem is the only other person that really knew about it was my boyfriend. And we broke up 3 months ago. We broke up 3 months ago. And we were together for almost 2 years. And he was the only person that really witnessed the progression of this in my life. And I'd say he was the one that held me accountable for a while. And now that's no longer there.
So you don't have anybody that's
Nobody.
There to see what's exactly going on, and
it's on me. It's all on me.
Well, you're not going to meetings then, are you?
No, I hate them.
Stop?
I think the GA meetings compared to other meetings are literally pointless. I've been thinking about going back to some AA meetings, but the GA meetings that I've been to, it's a very old group of people.
Let's go down this road.
All right, yeah, I'd love to.
Tell me your thoughts on GA meetings.
I don't
first impressions. Did it help you? Why you left? I want to hear your take on GA.
I've been to a few different GA meetings because I wanted to kind of. The first one I went to was all men. There's not a lot of women gamblers out there. At least not a lot of women gamblers in the meetings. They're out.
I was going to say, why do I feel like in casinos,
I see them
the ones that are there forever they seem to be middle-aged to older women.
Well, they've learned how to slow play their gambling, apparently, and they don't make the kind of bets that I'm making, and so they just get away with it, I guess. I don't know. They don't need to go to a meeting, but I do see them at the casino a lot. Also, a lot of Asians. I don't know if that's just a thing. They like to gamble.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Women and Asians. Gamblers.
Giant gambling population.
Okay, so your first meeting, there was nothing but a bunch of dudes.
Old men, yeah.
Old men.
It was a little uncomfortable.
But
they were very nice. They shared, they do this thing that you do not do in AA, and everybody gets like 5 minutes to share. They call it therapies, which I find really bizarre. And then up to 2 people can make comments on your therapies. So I just feel like it's like a bunch of people kind of vomiting out this unhealthy mindset, and then other unhealthy people commenting on unhealthy mindsets. And
well, give me an example. Like, what is a therapy? Is someone gets up and just tells a 5-minute story of
you could say whatever. You could, all right.
But is that not what you're doing here?
Yeah, kind of is. Except, I mean, I don't do this every week.
2 chuckleheads just commenting on you.
Yeah, but
hey,
it's different because.
Well, in the meeting, you get your chance to share. You get your moment, which is whatever, 5 minutes, 3 minutes. Just share whatever's on your mind. That's the reason you were at the meeting.
Exactly. But I'll tell you, in AA meetings, usually they're step meetings, so they'll read a lot from the AA literature.
GA has those too. It's just some meetings aren't.
Right. I never got to go to one of those, so I didn't know actually that GA had those, but now I do know that. But their literature is kind of scant as well. They just don't have a lot to pick from. And some of the other 12-step groups that I've been to, especially AA, I mean, that's the founder. Everything is based off of the AA principles. Every group that NA, CA, GA, CODA,
CA.
Cocaine Anonymous, CODA, Codependent Anonymous, or, all of these meetings are based off of AA's 12 steps. So
sure, okay.
I just feel like for me, because I can relate to being an alcoholic and I can relate to that addiction much better than I can in my mind. I just have trouble viewing gambling as an addiction. I just think that it's so silly I mean, clearly it is. I definitely have a problem. I can admit that. But still, somewhere in my brain, just because I can admit that I have a problem with it doesn't also let me accept that it's an addiction. And I don't know. And
well,
then
I mean,
I don't want to sound like grandma, first of all, I can't, the way that I'm talking to you guys, I could never talk to, Louise in the meetings like that, who's 85 years old, and she reminds me of my Gam. I'm not going to tell her, what's really going on. I'm going to dull back my language, I'm going to dull back my personality, and I'm going to try and, not upset this woman because she's 85 and she seems like a very nice lady and she can speak however she wants to. She's earned that right of being my elder. But, I was always brought up keep your mouth shut, you respect your elders. That's that. And in AA, you've got all variety of scumbags of all ages.
So you wouldn't hold yourself back in an AA meeting?
Never.
Well, when I said on here, when I first went to GA, it was 3 older people, and I was uncomfortable, and I didn't go back for a year and a half. So I had the same experience. But eventually then I went to a different room, and I found a room with more people, not necessarily completely younger people, but more people, which makes you feel a little more comfortable. But I guess it just depends on the area in the room. It's hard to go in and try and, I mean, you have one thing in common with all these people, but that's pretty much it at that point.
Yeah.
And
the other thing is, their policy about calling people, they call you. In AA, nobody calls you. You have to work for your sobriety. If you want to be sober and you want what that person has, you got to pick up the phone and call them, which I respect. In GA, everybody blew up my phone, and it made me feel I don't like talking to people, period. I just don't like the phone in general. I turn my phone off when I go in the casino to begin with. I like to leave my phone at home when I go out, so having 20 old people blow up my phone, it felt really weird. And picking up, and also the fact that I keep my gambling a secret. So nobody else in my life really knows about it. And now I'm out with my coworkers and my phone's blowing up and it's Louise, my Gam from the meeting. And I don't want to talk to her and listen, but how am I going to tell her politely that I'm doing other things and I don't really want to talk to you right now? So then I just had to start screening all my phone calls, and people would be like, how come you didn't pick up your phone? I left you 5 voicemails. You never called me back. I just don't want that kind of, if I want to talk to you, I will call you. And if I don't, it's because I don't feel as though we have anything to discuss. That's that.
So it kind of sounds to me like you're not quite ready to give up this particular addiction. You seem to be going well out of your way to accommodate yourself to the point where you could gamble at any point that you wanted to without having any real repercussions.
Absolutely.
Why? I mean, has it just not hit you hard enough financially? Have you not? I'm just curious. No judgment whatsoever.
Good question.
God,
well, it's not a problem until it's a problem.
I suppose it's not a problem until it's a problem, and also it's my vice. So everybody's got to have a vice.
Is this not a problem then? Or is it just not big enough problem?
You could justify it not being a problem as long as it's not...
Yeah, I did the 20 questions and answered yes to 17 of them. It's clearly become a problem in my life. But is it a problem that I have to really give up if I like it so much? It's the same thing with drugs and alcohol. You drink and you do drugs and they make you feel good. Anybody that tells you that drugs and drinking aren't fun has never really done drugs or drank with some good friends then. They don't know what they're talking about. But at a certain point, it stops being fun. At a certain point, you abuse it so much that now all of a sudden it's no longer fun. And even when you're drunk or when you're really high on whatever substance you took, it's not fun. Even in those moments, and then you're like, shit. Before, that was my escape. That was what I did. It made me feel good. I had fun. I liked it. And now, even in this moment, I'm not having fun. I don't like myself. I don't like this. And then you feel like, well, you just can't stand yourself either way and you got to do something about it. But with gambling, I know it's a problem, but it's still fun. I still have a good time when I go. I still like it. I still have fun.
Because there's no, like you said, drugs and alcohol, there's the physical.
Right.
That you end up feeling, whereas gambling, unless the only time I've ever felt physical, from it was at the end of something where it all sort of dawned on me at the same time and I felt physically ill one time. But other than that, the actual act of gambling there's no physical, you're just like, this is fun again, and your brain gets wired again. What I finally have realized, and due to the circumstance I'm in, have realized, I can't do it, because I will, even if I tried to go back and I got $50, let me go gamble. I can't, because I will I will do something horrible. And I sort of know that now. Now I've said this before, other times when I've had this amount of time. So, again, we'll see. But for now, I'm not doing it, and I feel okay doing it. And especially the other night, I would have happily, last night, I would have happily gambled. I was in that mindset of if I could right now, I would, because I did not have a good night, and partially due to all this gambling from last year, I'm paying the piper now for, and it really sucks. And so to not have that outlet and to have to put that energy somewhere else is hard. So I can understand not having another outlet, and you have reduced your amount of outlets already.
Right.
That gambling is there right now, and if it's not making you, if you're not losing your car or getting evicted or even not being able to pay some bills on time.
So my options, I feel like at this point for me really are, I have to find something out, because I have a very addictive personality. I'm a very intense person. So I have to find something else that I can replace this gambling with. And unless I can find that, I mean, I'm really not going to, and not saying that I can't, maybe I could join CrossFit or something and get really into working out, or, I don't know, but I need to find something else, because right now this is sort of what I fell into it, I mean, when I worked the graveyard shift is how I ended up getting into it, and it was like, well, I'm up, I'm awake, I'm on my day off, and it's 2 a.m, and I want to go do something now. I'm finally awake, I finally have time to myself. What could I go do? Well, nothing's open at 2 a.m. except for the casino. So let me drive to the casino. I'll get there by 3. I can hang out until 2 in the afternoon, and I'll go home and sleep, and then I'll be ready for my next shift. And it just became a habit, a really bad habit that I picked up, and now I like it. So, I like it, but I don't. It's still, nobody likes losing $1,000 in a night. I'll just tell you, you know what you could spend that money on, and you're thinking when you leave, if you think about those things, it makes you feel very irresponsible and kind of shitty, but at the same time, I'm sorry, I'll cut you off.
I think CrossFit would be a good thing for you. And here's why. Here's why. A couple reasons. A, you can easily spend $400 or $500 a month on a CrossFit membership. So it's a good way to waste money. But B, you're still having issues wrapping your head around gambling as an addiction because it doesn't have that physiological addictive quality that things like drugs and alcohol do because they will alter your brain's chemical composition. But the thing is it does. Because the endorphin rush, it elicits the same chemical reactions within your body, the act of going and doing this. It does stimulate your body in ways that echo or mimic drug and alcohol addictions, just like what intense physical activity and exercise can do. So if you can get yourself through an initial 30-day push of something like CrossFit, create that type of habit. Right. So that you've accepted this new.
Great idea.
I think that might be an interesting choice for you to try if you're ever curious.
Well, and
because you definitely seem like you are not ready to let this go. You can justify your habit a million ways to Sunday, and admittedly, you may have something of a point in that it hasn't wrecked your life and that you can, at your level of gambling, still financially support yourself and your habits. But it's certainly not gonna. It's gonna be uphill still.
It's like a slow bleed.
It's gonna get worse.
Yeah, it's like a slow bleed. I'm like leaking financial resources out that I've been. My job's not easy. I bust my ass at my job, and to just sort of leak those resources out that I could be saving and putting towards something else, it's frustrating it's just really frustrating. So yeah, maybe I could get into something like CrossFit because I know you're right. I'm not ready to give it up, and that's really why I haven't been able to. And because when I am ready, clearly I don't have a problem doing that because, when I was finally ready to stop drinking and doing drugs, I was able to, and I've been able to not go back to that. And, relatively young. It's not easy being 22, 23, 24, 25, 26 and around your friends who are all doing those things and constantly going out to bars and birthday parties and everything else. And no, be the DD again. Oh, let me just have a ginger ale.
Yeah.
But,
you wouldn't be one of my friends.
No, but I do it. I do it, and it's okay. And people around me, they don't really even notice that I don't drink now. Like my good friends that go out and like to get drunk, they're just happy that they have a ride home, that they're not going to have to drive. And we go out and we still have a good time. I still go to bars. I still go to dance clubs, still go play pool at, dirty hole-in-the-wall bars. It's fun. Still go to the casino, and I don't feel like I have to have a drink, but that's because I have something else there to keep me preoccupied. So maybe
How quickly? Well, you said you've only been gambling for 2 years?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But you've been sober since 2009?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So you didn't just move from one habit to the next.
No.
You did experience a couple-year period of.
Well, I did AA for up until I got my night shift job, and then once I started working nights, I couldn't make meetings anymore, and then I found this, and now going back to AA meetings, I don't know why. I've tried a couple times, but it's been really tough to wrap my head around it.
What do you mean?
I just feel like, maybe I don't really need them because I'm not drinking. I don't want to be a dry drunk, and clearly I've transferred my addictions.
Wait, what's a dry drunk?
It's kind of like a sober person who's a complete asshole and has no principles or morality in their life, and they just are still selfish and self-centered to the extreme. And I don't want to be that, but here I am doing things that sort of center around being selfish and self-centered.
Well, do you think that going to an AA meeting, do you think that would help you at all with your gambling? Because you don't particularly like the one.
Right.
Meeting.
Yeah. I have thought about that, and I don't know why, but I can't explain the pushback, the mental pushback that I have when I think about going to that and how I justify getting around that and talk myself out of it when I think of it.
So you have accepted the possibility that going to AA meetings may be helpful with your gambling addiction, but you're still just not ready to quit, and so you're talking yourself out of trying it.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Probably agreed.
We'll get you figured out.
You're not ready to quit, but do you want to quit?
Yeah. I mean, it's not just because I'd like to stop this slow leak of financial resources in my life.
I know, it's really hard to spend money on video games if you blow it all gambling.
Thank you. Exactly. Speaking my language.
Speaking my language.
Yeah. But I mean, Brian knows. Brian knows. He's wanted to quit before. It's not easy. You can want to quit and at the same time not want to quit. I don't know how to explain it.
Oh, yeah.
So
I thought I knew what rock bottom was. And then I really found out what rock bottom was.
Yeah.
And so, that's why this time is not as hard as last time to quit. Initially it was. Chris knows. I called him. Last year, this time.
Brian lives a very storied life. All right, so you had this issue with this trust fund check for reimbursing travel costs. It was sort of a hey, maybe you should do something about this. And so that's when you first started trying out your first GA meetings.
Yep. And I went to them.
What was it? Yeah, what was it though with like the drugs and alcohol? Like what was the rock bottom moment that really allowed you to get beyond those addictions and quit and be sober? Was it something just earth-shattering?
Yeah.
Or did you really just, is there any way that you could equate that or,
right.
I guess, I don't know, maybe channel? I don't know if this makes any sense, but like sort of recall that point in your life and...
Let us talk to 21-year-old Jill.
Well, it's like, obviously, I guess that doesn't serve as a continuing source of, I guess, inspiration for quitting your bad habits. Even though I'll let you quit those, is there any way that,
well,
I don't know.
I will say this. I had some things that I had some things in my life that had happened to me that were sort of a catalyst as to why I went off the wall with drinking and drugs as hard as I did in the first place. And I had to deal with those things. And I was going to get help for them. And I was finally willing to get help for them. And I was finally honest with my family about what had happened in my life and, that they were willing to sort of financially afford me this help if it was something I chose to do. But I knew that I was only going to have one chance at this because they'd already sent me to rehab when I was 19. And it was a very nice rehab. I went to the Mayo Clinic up in Minnesota, and it was, it's great. It's a great rehab facility. And so I knew financially how much this was going to cost. And I also had to take a medical withdrawal from school. I had to jump through a lot of hoops, and I had to do all of this on my own. I took a medical withdrawal when I was 19 as well, but my mom sort of wrote all my letters and jumped through all my hoops and saved my scholarship and talked to the insurance people and all of these things that were over my head. I was just a spoiled little girl, and I didn't really realize what was going on. But a few years later, when I took this medical withdrawal, I did all of the legwork myself, and it was not easy. And then I wanted to be sober when I did the when I did the therapy and the treatment for everything that I was getting help for, not just my addictions, but also I had the diagnosis of PTSD, and I just wanted to deal with my shit. And so I did, and I made this promise to myself. I tried. When I got out of rehab, I will tell you this, they had planted the seed, and I kept trying. I did. That was one thing I never stopped doing. I just kept trying to stop. I was in and out of the rooms of AA like a revolving door, and I just couldn't get it. For whatever reason, I just couldn't stop, and I kept trying and trying and trying, but eventually it worked. And 3 years later, and a lot of drugs and a lot of drinks later, I day one. So I'd get a month, and then I'd go back out and relapse for a couple months, and oh, shit's getting heavy, and I know I'm fucking up, and so I'd go back in and try and sober up, and I'd get, a couple weeks, and I'd go relapse, and I'd get a couple weeks, and I'd relapse, and it was just a back and forth. It was miserable. I mean, I was suicidal at one point. I thought, if this is what life is like, and this is the internal battle I have to fight myself on every day when I wake up, like, it's not worth living. It's so miserable, that fight in your head about, I want to do this, but I know I shouldn't do this, but I need to not get fucked up today. I really have responsibilities I have to be accountable for, and then ending up being completely blazed and high that day and drunk and whatever, and not able to meet those responsibilities and feeling very critical of myself, and also, again, it was another secret. My parents didn't know that I was still doing all this stuff until I finally came clean about it when I was 22 and asked for this help. And so I just thought, this is my one opportunity. I'm not going to get another chance like this. If I blow this, I'm literally going to be on my own, and it's going to be up to me later on in life. And I don't know if I'll make that choice. So let me just give myself 1 year. 1 year, and I'll work all 12 steps. And at that point, if I still hate my life, I'll go back out. And I did it. I tried. I did it. It didn't work. And I can go get it as fucked up as I want. I can die of alcohol poisoning. I don't care. And at 1 year, I was sober, but I had not worked all 12 steps. I had stopped working with my sponsor, and I was miserable. I was so depressed. I was so insanely miserable. And I almost had a drink, and then I just remembered that promise I made to myself, and maybe it was a God intervention or the universe or something, but I put my tail between my legs and was like, I have been fucking up and I want to keep working the steps. And she was like, all right, kiddo, let's do it. And we worked all 12 steps. And for a few years, I was really happy. I mean, I don't know. What I believe in necessarily. I told Brian earlier we were talking that, I think I'm an agnostic. I'm not sure what I believe in, but whatever it was, those 12 steps, they helped me find peace and serenity and happiness. And when I worked them and I lived the principles in my daily affairs, I felt like everything was really good. And I've never felt better and more free in my life. So, I mean, they definitely have something there. If you work the steps like you're supposed to, they'll change your life for the best.
So you have faith in the system. You just didn't like the particular GA meetings that you went to.
Yeah.
So is there a way for you to work these steps?
Right. So I have to go back to AA. And I know that, but I've just been procrastinating because I clearly like wallowing in my own whatever it is. Yeah, I'm just dicking around. I'm not getting my shit together yet.
Typical 27-year-olds and their fucking... It's like you really seem to have the ability to cut this shit out if you wanted to.
Yeah.
You've been through it before. You have faith in the system. You know that it works for you.
Absolutely.
And yet you're just choosing not to do it. You're just like, you know what? I'm just going to wake up today and put my dick in my hand and play with it. And you seem content with that. And I think that's kind of a shame because the only other alternative to you choosing to go through and, fixing this problem is just hitting rock bottom.
I know.
Hitting a wall that forces you to make a difference or make a change.
I know.
And I'd hate to see anyone, go through that just to learn a lesson that you seem to have already learned once or twice in your life, which obviously you haven't learned anything. Like I said, fucking 27-year-olds. But
I have and I haven't. I guess the thing is
well, those first two took time to get over too.
They did. And it's a process, I think. And every person is different. I'm a pretty thick-minded individual when it comes to accepting my inadequacies. And, I know it was devastating for me when I finally accepted that I was an alcoholic and drug addict. I can say that now, and I'm okay with it, but...
Hard to make that
it was like my world was caving in on me. Everything... It felt like really, I thought I would have rather been diagnosed with cancer at that moment. Like, because my whole world, my whole life, all of my friends, everything. And when you're 20, 21, and you're trying to tell yourself that everything you know and everything you've been doing your entire teenage and adolescent life of when you're basically from the time that you had any freedom whatsoever up until now that you're 20, 21, 22, and you cannot do these things anymore, and this is all you know. I just thought, like, I'm going to have to find all new friends. Nobody that I hang out with is going to hang out with me anymore. Everything that I know, that I do, that I think is fun, I'm not going to be able to do anymore. I can't even listen to the same music I listen to because I don't want to listen to that fucking music if I can't get lit. I mean, everything. Like, it seems so, I mean, I know looking back now it seems silly, but when you're 20.
Cypress Hill.
It seems so crucial and important, and it was a lot to get myself to wrap my head around it. You know, it really was. I remember I talked to this girl when I finally, this was New Year's for 2010. And I was going on a trip that I had already planned with my best friend and her father, who I happened to go gambling with, and that's how I started gambling when I turned 21. That was my first time ever in a casino. And it was with the same person. And she's like my sister, and her father unfortunately passed away from colon cancer, but he was an amazing man, and he was like a father to me. And so we were going up to Asheville on this trip for New Year's because that's where he had his house, up in North Carolina, and it's a beautiful place. I love it. It's one of my favorites. Anyways, and
for a second there, I was like, wait a minute, I know where I know of an Asheville, I think.
Yep.
North Carolina, come on and raise up.
So
take your shirt off.
But you know, they were also big drinkers, and I had like
North Carolina.
Yeah, and I had not even 60 days clean and sober, and we were going, and I couldn't back out because I couldn't afford to pay them back for the plane ticket they had bought me a while back. And the first thing we get there, and she knew, I mean, she's like my sister, she knows, but at the same time, she's not an addict, and she was also, 20, 21, so, you know.
Yeah,
she's
hard to
in her
really
own,
relate, and yeah.
Everybody's in their own world at that age. You're all douchebags. We're all douchebags when we're 20, 21.
Brian was.
And,
I was too busy gambling to be a douchebag. I wasn't paying attention to anybody.
We got upgraded to first class, and she looked at me, she's like, yay, free drinks! I'm like, fuck me! So I'll be right back, I gotta make a phone call. So I called this girl that she was in AA. She had like 3 years clean and sober, but she was awesome. She was going back to law school, she was beautiful, she had her shit together, and I just really respected her, and I wanted what she had, you know, and those are the people that and so I called her, and I was like, you know, hey, this is my situation. I told her, and she said, you know, listen, if you're going to drink, you're going to drink again. I mean, that's just the thing. So whether it's this trip or in a month from now or in a year from now, if you can't accept in your heart that you want to be clean and sober, you're not going to be clean and sober. So you might as well have something to drink on this flight. It doesn't matter. Good luck. Click. And she was right. And she made she just put it just very frankly. And it was a moment that I had that was really like I could have gone either way. And I just thought, you know what? She's right. And if I'm going to drink and if I can't decide in my heart that I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired, then let me just go get drunk again and let it be over New Year's with my best friend and her family. But I didn't, because truly in my heart at that point, I was like, I hate where my life has gone and I'm going nowhere and I feel like a loser and I want to be better. I know I could be better. So I didn't, and I still haven't. But now I have this other thing, so maybe I need to go back to AA.
Do you have other GA meeting options? Like you said, you went to the one meeting and it was a bunch of old guys.
Yeah,
and so I assume you went to more than one type of GA, but do you have better options?
I went to a women's meeting a couple times, but I didn't really relate to them either. They're also a bit older, or housewives, which, you know, I don't know what that's really like either. You know, you're stuck at home and just able to go out and spend your husband's money and go gambling and come home and make dinner. I don't know what, you know, I couldn't really relate to them either. So I went and I spoke with them. They were all very nice, I will say that. But we didn't talk about the steps. And my whole thing is like, if I'm not working on the steps, then what? I just feel like I'm wasting time. And I'm already a busy person, and I keep myself, I'm like a workaholic, and I keep myself insanely busy on purpose.
You want more structure? Is that accurate?
Yes, exactly, yeah.
So you didn't know about the STEP GA meetings, but now you do. Are there STEP GA meetings that you can go to in your area?
So I'd have to hunt those down. I'm sure there are, but I've been to a lot of different GA meetings and have thus far been able to find a STEP meeting, or had even heard of it until I spoke with Brian, and he was like, "Oh, we had a couple STEP meetings." And I thought, well, that would be something that I would be interested in doing. But again, then I might as well just go to an AA meeting because it's something I can relate to more, and I guess I respect it more.
Well, fair enough. Then get yourself to an AA meeting. Go right now.
Guess I could. What time is it? I could go to the 8:30 one. Yeah, I guess maybe I will. You know what? Why not?
I think you should come back next week, but only if you're going to come back and tell us about your 8:30 Thursday AA meeting that you go to tonight.
All right. I'm going to go to it. You know what? I'm going to go. To you two and all of our listeners, everybody who's listening to this, I'm making a commitment. I'm going to do this tonight.
Well, yay.
Thanks. Oh,
something good. That's neat.
If we're closing shop, I want to read you this email.
All right.
This says, Brian Chris, I am recently going through giving up gambling because it was beginning to become a major problem in my life. Listen to a couple of your podcasts, and I find it valuable getting over the addiction and getting back on track with life without dwelling on the losses. Keep up the good work. Thanks, Gibby. So,
Gibby.
That man emailed to say that he listens.
Shout out to Gibby.
Oh, okay. I thought
so we're shouting out to Gibby.
Oh, yeah. All right. I thought you were reading a different email, and this was somebody else. Okay, no.
No, and then I emailed him back and said, "Oh, cool, man. Thanks for listening. Keep doing it. Stay clean." And then
Gibby, you should come on the podcast and share your story.
Yeah.
Gibby said, "Still clean on gambling, and now going through giving up alcohol."
Oh, I feel your pain, man.
And trying to patch up a damaged marriage.
I hope your real name isn't Gibby, because when you do come on, if
it is not,
we're going to call you
It is
Steve.
Not. Thank you, Jill, for coming on.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, guys. This was
wonderful.